This is Samona, and you are watching the iLLest Line.
Hey, what's good, everybody? This is your B-Fam, Daniel Anthony, and this is the iLLest Lines, where we talk about our favorite lines from certain songs because bars matter. So check this out. On today's episode, I have a lady who I was introduced through another artist friend that we'll actually talk about that in a few moments as well. But her name is Samona, and we want to just go ahead and talk about her song Wings of Love, as well as her EP that she just recently put out. So I want you to do me a favor and welcome her to the iLLest Lines.
Hey, everyone.
Hey,
Happy
what's
to be
going on?
here.
Thank you for saying yeah. I truly appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So, first of all, I love finding new artists that I've never heard of, especially because to me, it's like a happy spiritual flutter, so to speak. You know what I mean? Especially when they're good, you know? But so my introduction to you was from King David the Vessel, whom I did an interview with as well. And that song Forever. I know we're gonna talk about your stuff, but that song Forever was like, it really, really piqued my, because I already, know his skills and all that. So it wasn't a surprise, but to hear you on there, I'm like, oh my God, this is cool. Like I love the whole vibe of it, and how smooth and just beautiful it was, you know what I mean? So obviously it made me want to, you're welcome. It made me want to dig a little bit further. So that was why I reached out to you. And you got some nice songs, but we'll definitely get into that. I got a little excited when I started listening to them again, but so we definitely want to touch on those. But my first question to you is, well, first of all, you're from Oakland, right?
I was born in Oakland and raised in Sacramento, California.
Okay. How different was that that transition, and when did you actually transition to growing up in Sacramento?
Well, I moved to Sacramento, California when I was 4. So I have some memories of it. Wasn't really caught in the cool atmosphere of Oakland like that. In my, older age, I traveled back and forth. But I've been here, Sacramento, kind of boring.
Right. You said safe?
But I go visit.
Oh, okay. Did you say safe?
Safe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha. So I was gonna say, so does that mean that you're not a diehard Raiders fan at all, or?
I appreciate them. I appreciate
them. All right.
Yes.
Sounds good. That's a good, safe answer.
Thank you.
Especially to a Chargers fan. So we won't talk about that.
Okay.
So what was it about Sacramento that you feel shaped you into who you are?
Well, kind of raised middle class, raised in a very disciplined environment.
Oh, okay.
So Sacramento kind of went with the lifestyle that my parents were trying to rear me up with.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of how it's impacted me. It's a nice place to live, a nice place to work.
Right.
Like I said, it's safe. Not a whole lot going on here. We have to travel to kind of experience all the city stuff, but Sacramento's been good to me.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So then at what point did you get caught up in music in itself? Were you like kind of born into it? Does your family do music? What part of that, and how old were you during that time?
My parents aren't really musically inclined like that. Of course, my mom can sing a little bit, but it's mainly me and my brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so we were always interested in instruments. And I was the only one who really sang, but my brothers play the drums, play the guitar, different things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so my parents recognized that we were musically inclined. Right. So they put us in band class. So that was like 3rd grade. You couldn't get on the instruments right away. You had to learn how to read music. So you had to do a whole course. So I did that. And, I had little fingers, so I couldn't play the saxophone. That's what I really wanted to play.
Oh,
so I started on the clarinet and graduated to the saxophone.
Okay. So which sax did you play? Because I used to play tenor.
Oh yeah, alto.
Oh,
Tenor's
okay.
big for me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty big. I was surprised too. I didn't get into it until I was in like the eighth grade, but I don't remember them doing that as far as like teaching the fundamentals first, reading the notes before yet. They kind of like threw me in there. So
You in there?
you had a lot more than I did.
Yeah, it was a blessing. It was cool.
That's good. That's good. Was any of it like a marching band type of situation going on or no?
Yes.
Oh,
By the
okay.
time I got to high school, I went to marching band, and that was
Nice.
so fun. But you
Right.
got listen, like the way
Yeah.
I grew up. You were in marching band
Yep.
too? Me, I loved it. I still
Yes.
got friends that were in marching band with me. So,
Right. Right.
but I was raised really sheltered,
Oh,
so I
okay.
didn't have a lot of excitement.
Oh, okay.
Dance class was the highlight of
The
my
highlight
day.
every day.
You know?
That's funny. So, if you grew up pretty sheltered, is it safe to say that you didn't really have too many, or did you have secretive influences as far as music was concerned? Like, did they keep you away from certain artists or whatever?
Secretly, yes. Mom, I'm sorry. It's all coming out. It's
It's
all
all
coming
coming
out.
out.
Coming out. We were not allowed to listen to any secular music.
Oh,
So
okay.
sometimes when people run down people like, hey, you remember when Janet Jackson did this? And I'm like, I
Like,
don't,
yeah, no.
I don't have you just see me just blank, like trying to be cool,
Right,
but
right.
I don't know. But here's the thing. This is kind of where the lines get blurred for me because yeah, I was only allowed to listen to gospel music, opera, classical, no jazz.
Wow, no jazz.
No jazz. My dad
Wow.
said jazz makes you want to do things. We're like, what are you talking about, Dad? What kind of things are these?
And it's funny because sometimes those kind of statements kind of make you feel like, okay, but now I'm intrigued. Now I want to
Yeah,
know what kind of things you're talking about because
what are
I'm
you
hearing
talking
this
about, Dad?
R&B over here.
Yeah. So it was kind of
Oh
like
man.
it was like that. So I felt really like I wasn't going to be able to grow musically. The other
Mm,
kids could listen and their ears were developing, and I
right.
wanted that, but I couldn't have that.
Hmm.
So I think later on down the line that worked in my favor because it kind of gave me my own sound.
Oh, okay.
However,
However.
so I used to have this radio and a little cassette player tape.
Right. Right.
And sorry, Mom, but I would take preaching tapes, from the church.
I think I
Yeah.
already know where you're going.
And I take the little tissue paper and put it on the sides. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And
Oh man.
I'd sit in the closet. I'd have to
Uh,
turn it down really low
mm-hmm.
because my dad was the deacon. Okay.
Right, right.
Okay. So I would do that and I'd wait for my favorite song to come on, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I would just hit record. Now, this whole thing backfired
Oh
on me
man.
one day because sometimes I would do this, the same thing, the same
Mm-hmm.
routine with gospel songs too on the
Oh,
radio.
okay. Uh-huh.
But sometimes I get my tapes mixed up.
And you couldn't mark them, right?
I couldn't mark them. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but I'll
Oh
never
man.
forget. I recorded, oh my God, this is so embarrassing, a song by Joe.
Uh-huh.
I am not going to tell you the song.
Right. I'm pretty sure I already know which one.
I think you know.
Uh-huh.
And I recorded that song, and I'll never forget. We were driving to church on a Sunday morning, and my dad said, "Hey, Moan, give us one of them tapes," because he called me Moan. Give me one of those tapes.
Give me one of those preaching tapes real quick.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, I had one in my purse. I gave it to my dad. Totally forgot it was on there.
Oh man.
And that Joe, I won't even tell you what part of that song.
Oh my
You know what song
gosh.
I'm talking about. And
Yep.
when it broke down,
Mm-hmm.
the whole car stopped.
Oh
Everybody
man.
stopped. And I have a little brother. He's like 6'4". He is
Mm-hmm.
he's
That
hilarious.
didn't even sound right. A little brother that's about 6'4". All right.
He looked at me. He said, "You're gonna die."
It was nice knowing you.
And my
Oh
parents, they didn't
man.
even get on me. You know, my dad said he said, Moan. My parents were older, so he would,
Yeah.
Moan, you are not gonna inherit the kingdom of heaven.
Oh wow. That is worse than I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah. I just was like, ah, I have got to be
Oh
more careful.
man. Look, not I gotta stop it, but I gotta be more careful.
Be
Dang
more
it.
careful.
I knew I should have marked it.
Yes. Just another day in the life.
Oh man, that's hilarious. All ready to hear some preaching and you heard a little something else. Oh man,
Heard something else for sure.
that's hilarious. Okay, so then out of all the times that you recorded stuff off the radio,
Yeah.
who became your influences? I can't even get past this.
People that should not have. There was an East Coast song. I thought that melody was
Oh
amazing.
man. Wait, which one?
It was, and you guys are gonna laugh at me. Please forgive me in
Uh,
advance. I'm a shelter, but it was. I hope I don't go back to slanging yeah yeah.
oh my gosh, don't even know what that is.
I know that's not the title, but I know.
Oh, I know exactly what you,
Yeah, I
yeah.
thought that
Cause
melody
they,
was
yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah, because I can't remember what song it was. It was an old song. Da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da, da. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I remember that song.
I'd
That's
be
funny.
waiting by my radio for that to come on, like record, play it back.
Oh man. Hey,
No,
whoever's watching this, if you can comment, because I don't remember who that was. If you can comment who that is, please do.
I
Oh man,
repent.
that's
I
hilarious.
repent. I repent.
Oh man.
It's in my past.
Right, right, right. It's in your past. Right. Oh man, that's hilarious. So then other than that song, like
Yes,
okay, so since you had mostly gospel and opera and all that, which I have to admit, like for me, hearing gospel as a kid was not anything that I wanted to hear. It's kind of like how my kids are the same way that I used to be whenever my dad or my mom was listening to certain songs. Like, gosh, can you change it? So what were there? Did any of those people like that, maybe from opera or gospel, like any of those people influence you at the time, or did you not realize it until later?
they did. In particularly, Daryl Coley and John P. Key really
Mm,
impacted me.
yeah.
Daryl Coley, because his vocals were so smooth,
Hmm.
and I just loved how he sang, and I liked his words, his lyrics and stuff. Like he was
Right.
really dope.
Right.
John P. Key, those are the two main ones. Dorinda,
Mm.
when I got older, I started listening to Dorinda because I like
Oh
a
yeah.
raw,
Yeah.
different kind of sound. I'm really into
Hmm.
textures of voices.
Right.
So the more different, the more unique,
Hmm.
you know, that's my thing. But they
Yeah.
really impacted me.
Gotcha. And did you find yourself like trying to do, because the those Clark sisters and Moss family, they do every single run that nobody's even heard of. So did
I
you ever
know.
catch yourself like trying to copy that
Always,
and practice?
always.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't come out of me in that way. I have
Mm,
pieces of it,
right.
and I certainly appreciate what they do.
Hmm.
They have a grace for that level of
Oh
running.
yeah. Right, right. And I told somebody this before, like they people think that's an effect on their voice. And I've actually heard Jay Moss sing live and he sounds exactly like that. And
Yes,
hearing even the Clark sisters sing live, you know what I mean? Like all of their voices, Kiki, Karen Clark, share all of them, they have like the most impeccable, excuse me, voices that I've
yes,
ever heard.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Wow, yeah, I'm still kind of coming down off of that story though, but that's hilarious. But yeah, I definitely feel you on that one because they are some of the most I want to say like revered. You know what I
Yes,
mean? But they're also the ones that are way like well respected because of their craft, the things that they've been able to do with notes in general.
yes.
And did you ever find any noticeable similarities between them and opera or anything else that you were listening to?
No, because they're pretty much like trailblazers.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't hear harmonies like that in gospel
Right.
music until they started.
Right.
We didn't hear that level of riffs and running like we did until we got introduced to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they really created a lane in gospel music. And it was, to your point, it was so impeccable that it made the world intrigued with their sound. And I think because of that, I think people respect people who are doing things in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to sing it like this person. You're going to do it the way God gave you. And we say, thank you. That was amazing. We see God's gift working in you.
Mm-hmm.
And we applaud that. You know what I'm saying? So no, I think they're dope. If we wanted to segue a little bit, when you talk about opera influences, this is where that kicked in.
Got
and
you.
Now you're going to get me in trouble again.
That's all right. I'll take the blame. They don't know where I live.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry once again. So I don't know if you've heard me talk about this before, but you know what? I'm going to tell you the story. So
all right.
One day back in the day, you you go on a little date, you're sheltered,
right.
But you still, sorry, my husband just walked in.
I was just going to say, I saw a shadow just overcome you. I was like, okay.
Oops. Should I tell this one? Don't worry. I was really young. And so, I was nice. And I just wasn't like one of those girls who was like, no, you can't talk to me if you don't have a flat top, if you don't have a this, if you don't have a that. I was just like, oh, you're nice. You're nice. And this guy, I let him take me out and I had to meet my parents and he had these braids coming down and my parents were like, what is going on?
What in the Miggity Mac Daddy?
It was just like, he was nice. He was nice to me. And so I went on this date. I don't remember this guy's name. I don't remember anything about him except for this one date we went on.
Oh, okay.
When we got into the car, he played Bilal.
Oh, is that right?
And it was over. It was, my mind was blown.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that opera influence mixed in with the neo soul vibe was too much for my brain to handle.
Wow.
I said, thank you for the date, but who is this singing?
Right.
And I've been a fan of his vocal style ever since. To Samona, to me, there's nobody better than him. To me, vocally. He is the top of everything for various different reasons. And just to be clear, because I know we have a mixed audience. For me, I appreciate the gift that God puts in people.
Right.
That doesn't mean I have to sing what they're singing about. It doesn't mean that I always agree with the content. But if someone can sing, I can recognize, wow.
Yeah,
just like the old school folks say, Whitney Houston can blow.
Right.
And after all that sheltering, the only two people who are the only two people we could watch, Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson.
Oh, I don't know Michael Jackson?
Yeah, he would dance and stuff. We'd be like, oh, we can watch it. Like, yeah, isn't it amazing?
Wow.
So Bilal is that for me.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why he's so amazing to me is because he is so raw and free.
True.
And his false, if you're a guy, you can sing with a beautiful false, it's over with to me. Like, that's just the most beautiful thing ever. So it's the way he expresses. He can really put his emotion in what he's saying. And to me, he's impeccable with the things he decides to do. His vocal solutions, the notes that he picks are like genius to me. They're not predictable.
Oh, I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. And I could see that, especially like for me, when I heard him, I think Soul Sister was the first song that I heard from him. And I'm not going to lie. When I first heard it, I'm like, okay, because that was when neo soul was like really coming in, you know what I mean? And pretty, hitting pretty hard, but hearing that particular song and then some of the notes that he chose to do, I remember sitting there like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Because
Really?
there was certain notes that I heard, because I have this thing that if I hear an off note, it doesn't matter how quiet it is unless it's like muted. If I hear it, then my ear just like turns a little bit. So if I hear that, it starts to make me feel like, okay, I'm not sure if I want to hear this anymore. But I wanted
Ah,
to with that song. I wanted to because of the vibe. You know what I mean?
yes.
That's what will kind of get me a little bit more if I don't feel like the singer is as good as I thought he was going to be. But
Hmm.
then hearing everything else after that, it was like, man, like dude just kept going in every
Yeah.
time he came out, with whatever he was singing, even with the I think he did a couple of songs with Music Soul Child,
Hmm.
but definitely the one on that he has on Soul Star.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, it took a minute, for me to like really get into it. So, I see what you're saying, especially when it comes to male vocalists that have a nice falsetto. Maxwell's another one,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
And that's why I like Jay Moss's voice too. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? That same kind of feel. D'Angelo,
Hmm.
I love how he expresses. I had one other point I was going to make. I lost my thought, but yes,
Uh-oh. Yeah.
it's all right. It's all right.
It'll come back if it's necessary.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to your music now, when did you first start feeling like, you know what, I think I want to do this?
I always had like this inner drive to
Hmm.
do it. Like, it's something specific about being in a recording studio,
Yeah.
because to your point, like, and I'm not whatever, but I am really big on execution and the notes being right and different
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And so
Yeah.
sometimes live, you can't, of course, sometimes you're going to mess up,
Right.
but in the studio, you can really, really perfect that thing, you
Yeah.
know,
No
and like
matter
my
how many
producer,
takes.
yeah, yes, yeah. And, my producer always tells me the most disrespectful thing you can do
Hmm.
on a track is to sing a bad note. That was the point that I was trying to remember.
Got
Don't
you.
be on here singing no bad notes.
Right.
Get it
Especially
right.
on purpose.
Right.
Like, oh no, that's fine. No, it ain't.
No, it's not. And and some producers ain't nothing. They won't tell you nothing. They're just
Right.
taking your money. They don't care.
Right. Right.
They're looking
That's
at their
true.
phone. They're uninvolved. That's why I love this
Mhm.
producer I work with. No, he won't let nothing slide.
That's
Nothing. If you're
cool.
sharp,
Right.
flat, anything, like he's
Flat
like
and sharp.
flat and sharp,
Yeah.
everything. Like, Simona, you can't hear that?
Like,
Oops.
you don't see my ear on the floor?
Yeah,
That's from that.
exactly.
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's definitely important to have people that, care more. Let me phrase that. I would say it's more important to have them involved, to care enough to be involved. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like dealing with people that, like, I totally get where you're coming from. I haven't really dealt with too many people like that on my side, but
Mm.
I understand because, there have been like maybe one or two instances, and it's like, yeah, that's something I don't want, because if you're not involved, then that
Hmm.
means you don't care. And if you don't care, then that means you don't really have my back. And if you don't have my back,
Hmm.
we can't go forward. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So it's definitely a major thing to have and know that you have it. And then you want to stick with that person, you
Absolutely.
know. So how
And
long have I'm sorry, go ahead, my bad.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, so how long have you been working with this particular producer?
Well, he's always engineered and mixed for me
Oh,
for
okay.
other songs that I've done, like kind of on my own at other studios, and then you
Mm,
bring it to him to mix it. But
right.
because of COVID and everything getting shut
Mm,
down,
right.
he was my only option to record. And I know he can mix like extremely well.
Oh,
I
okay.
had no clue he was going to help me.
Oh, nice.
See what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
to your point, like I feel like it does take you going through a lot of different producers. Like it's so rare to come by anybody who not only is an expert, but will impart wisdom into you to make you better. That rarely
Right.
ever happens. And that's no knock, because maybe some of these producers, maybe they don't know. And
Right.
maybe they can't hear. You know what
True.
I'm saying? And
Yeah.
people are like, you know what?
Yeah.
You just have the creative freedom. I'm over here on my phone.
Right.
So I don't
Right.
want to judge them, but I am saying there was a stark difference
Right. Oh yeah.
when I
Definitely.
started to work with him, and I stayed with him throughout the whole project. He mixed forever.
Oh, okay.
Because we were really neo soul on that song. We were
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
no, wait, before Brian touched it. So there's another
Oh.
version to Forever.
Oh, is that right?
It is real neo. Yeah.
Huh.
And he took it and he flipped it. And
Right.
but he's really big on, you can be neo soul, because that's my vibe. Like, I love that
Same here.
sound.
Same
That's
here.
how I hear music. That's just my whole thing.
Mhm.
But his thing is, you don't want to get pigeonholed in that box.
Gotcha.
So we're going to let you be that in pockets, but you need to broaden this so everybody can appreciate it. Do I want to be a little bit more neo soul?
Yes. Okay. So do you feel like you would venture into that a little bit more on upcoming projects, or?
Yeah, because there's this sound that I can hear it in my spirit. I just got to find the right beat maker or musician to capture the sound that I hear.
Gotcha.
And I'm the kind of person that different sounds make me do different things vocally.
Yes. Yep.
So I don't sound the same on every song. You know what I'm saying? It's
True.
just, when I hear it, something happens to me, and I just, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm looking for the right mix or fusion. So I'm trying to create a little lane here, because to your point, when you were talking earlier, when you hear gospel music, sometimes you think of a cliche sound.
Sure do. Sure do.
And everybody doesn't want to hear it that way.
Right.
And then we listen to other music because they have that sound. The lyrics may not be there. And I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't do that. I'm not here to judge anyone. But the truth of the matter is, everything couldn't sound the same. One thing I always say is, God made all these different things, all these different types of animals, the zebra, the lion, all the types of fish, and everybody has to sound one way in gospel?
Right.
Impossible.
And you know what, though? I think with that, and it's kind of a good thing that you just brought up, that made me think of a couple of things as well. But it almost seems like it's a little more widely accepted. You know what I'm saying? To have that kind of almost preachy feel to the music, which is fine when you're, behind the pulpit. But at the same time, if the song is not in if the song doesn't really minister, then how can it? You know what I'm saying? So it does kind of seem like there's certain songs like, okay, well, this is great and the artist is great, but I kind of wish that there was more to this person than just doing this same thing. No matter how powerful their voice is, no matter how touching the song may be, I think that a lot of people are used to hearing a certain vibe in gospel. That's why, like, when it comes to anything like even CHH, when that first came out, it's like people didn't want it at all. You know what I mean? And I think that it slowly but surely got to a point where it's like, okay, it's widely accepted. However, it's still not highly respected as, regular gospel music, or, like Hillsong type Christian music or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's understandable, you know what I mean? The question I was going to ask you about that, though, is how do you feel that made you change and develop into the type of artist that you are today?
Well, I specifically like to make music about my relationship with God.
Right.
So to me, I look at it like the type of gospel music you're describing, like this, the way we're used to hearing gospel music, that preachy sound.
Right.
To me, that's corporate. When I go to church, I probably want to hear it that way.
Right,
and I probably will hear it that way, right? Because it's corporate, we're all praising the Lord. But I'm kind of that artist that's like, okay, after you get out of church, you get in your car and you go home, or you're on a long trip and you want to think, or maybe you're going through something,
right,
and you need a little inspiration, encouragement. I want to be that artist that captures that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I make my music. I actually said this in a previous interview. I feel like when you're really, really, really close to the Lord, you don't got to yell at him.
True.
You don't have to scream. You don't have to do all. And you can. There's a time and a place to praise the Lord and to lift up your voice and to do all of those things. But when it's just me and the Lord and his personality, he's so full of peace, you know? And so I like to chill when I sing. If I feel like belting, I will, but I don't want anyone to force me to do that to fit into the genre. I want to feel and sing praises.
Right. Because otherwise it's not going to be true to you. I'm sorry, say it again.
Right. No. Yeah, it's not going to be true to me.
Right. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I think is important when it comes to this style of music, because if we're not being our true selves, how can anyone see our true selves? How can anyone see the God in us if we're not showing that God in us, especially knowing that he created us differently? You know what I mean? I got to telling a friend the other day that, you know, when it comes to the things that God places in us, you know, the subject at hand, let's say, for instance, if it's injustice, right? That word itself is going to hit you a lot differently than it's going to hit me or hit someone else. You know what I mean? And you may think to yourself, you know, like both of us may think to ourselves, you know, let's write a song. But the message that he puts in you is not going to be the same exact message that he puts in me, unless he's doing a specific thing in both of us at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's very important for people to understand that and to just grasp the idea of, okay, you know what? There's differences in people because God is different. There's differences in people because God created us in that way. You know what I mean? Because if we were all the same, we wouldn't have a lot of these things that are going on, good or bad. You know what I mean? We would just be robots, you know? And I think a lot of people don't think about that, you know, especially when it comes to the music, you know?
Yeah. Or what sounds holy, what sounds unholy.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that. There's too much pressure to put on a creative being that God made to create. Because isn't he the Lord of all of the sounds? Every good and perfect gift comes from above.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so I just feel like we have got to, and I don't think a lot of millennials do it, but I think that if we're going to merge the older generation with the new generation, we really need to consider the way that we are approaching the music and the way people express. You got people who were not raised in church. They don't know the church sound. They know what they know, and they know what's familiar to them. And what if they have a praise? What if they have a poem? What if they have rap? What if you're going to just tell them that sound is not holy and this, that, and the other? Like God is only in specific chords. He only moves in the major chords. And
or the minor, yeah.
I'm here like, give me all those dark chords. I got something. I love it.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just like, to your point, how is that giving God the glory if we're all sitting here being the same? Is the lion saying to the zebra, you know what? I need to get me some stripes.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or is the lion just being the lion, being the way that God created it to be? You know?
Great point. Yeah. So now that you were talking about the new song, so obviously I want to make sure that we transition right now to your song "Demons of Love."
I know you're tired. I know you've been waiting, looking for strength. Yeah, just look up to the hills. Help is coming.
First thing I'm going to tell you about that song is the music had me right at the beginning, from the way that the drums were kicking in at the beginning, and then how it just progressed from there. That bass as well. Was it an actual like instrumental bass? Excuse me, not instrumental bass. Excuse me. Was it a actual person playing the bass, or like was it just a regular producer, or like who did that track?
Oh, it wasn't live. So the track was done by Tone Jones, so it was a part of the stems. And my
I should
producer
have
is
known.
dope. My
Yes.
producer is dope, so he knows how to EQ everything, and
Nice.
he'll take the bass part, chop that thing up, make a whole new bass line. He's
Yeah.
tight.
Oh, okay. So is that
So
what
he
he did
does
to
all kinds.
that?
He did a lot of stuff to a lot of
Okay.
stuff.
Well, yeah, we'll just leave it there. Yeah. And I was saying,
Yeah,
yeah, because
but the track
I
was really
definitely
dope.
know. Yeah. I definitely know Tone Jones. Yeah. His stuff is, man, really great. But yeah, this track in itself, I mean, it took me a few times of listening to it to start paying more attention to the lyrics because I was so enthralled with the actual music, you know. Not saying that I didn't pay attention to the lyrics, by the way, because the song in itself is great. But what I want to do is I want to tell you my favorite line, but then I'd like for you to tell me your favorite line from the song as well. Um, but the one that stuck out to me was, and only because it gave me a sense of comfort, was just rest in his presence where no hurt, harm, or danger lives.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. You know, it the reason why it struck a chord with me was because, like I said, the comfort that it gives in just two lines. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
can't say that in it that those two lines in itself spoke the whole entire, you know, record because everything out of it was great. You know what I mean? But those were the two that stuck out to me because of that in itself, and it made me feel that joy that I know that I get when I think of God's goodness, when I know that his goodness has touched me, when I know that he's kept me from hurt, harm, or danger. So that, and even though a lot of people
Yeah.
might look at that as well, you know, I hear a lot of people saying no hurt, harm, or danger, but it's not cliche. It's real because we don't know a lot of stuff that he kept us from day to day. You know what I'm saying? So that's why that
Yes.
spoke to me. So what was your favorite line out of this particular song?
Because I'm an encourager, I think the first line was the most for me because I want to sing to whoever's listening and
Right.
say, hey, I know you're tired. I know you've been waiting, looking for strength,
Yeah.
just look up, kind of to build this, hey, I know you're right here in this hard place. Just
Mhm.
look up. God is
Right.
going to carry you on wings of.
Yeah, and I definitely hear you on that. I definitely hear you on that because that in itself, you know, the title in itself obviously is something that makes you think of that. You know, now I'm not gonna lie, I did think of Jeffrey Osborne for a second, hot second before I actually played the song. You know, but yeah, in itself, yeah, that whole entire song is like one of the best songs actually on that project itself. So I definitely appreciated
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, most definitely. Um, Before I
Thank
let you
you.
go, I want to ask you one last question, and we'll also get into your social media. But the last question I have for you is, what would you say is at least one of the illest lines that you ever heard that made an impact on you?
A Bible verse, which
Oh,
is God has not given us the spirit of fear,
mm,
but of love, power, and a
sound
sound
mind.
mind.
Yeah.
And I say that because I feel a call to
Mm,
encourage and inspire people who, now, I mean, they could have a variety of issues, but
right.
specifically the brokenhearted,
Mm,
people who suffer with different, mental illness or anxiety and different things
right.
like that. I myself have struggled with fear, and that scripture
Mm,
has really, been an anchor for
mm,
me. And so that is the illest line for me.
yeah. And I could see that too because you know I think everybody has that feeling of dealing with fear. Obviously, the levels are different, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I definitely see that about that particular scripture too because you know once it's something that I say to my kids a lot too because you know they themselves they deal with a lot of stuff, you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
sometimes there's fear in moving in a particular direction, whether it be in your job or in a relationship. Sometimes there's a fear of, especially because of not knowing. Like, I'm not sure if I want to
Yes.
move into this business situation because I'm not sure if it's going to be a good one, you know, but you know, kind of placing yourself, nesting yourself in God's will. And
Yes.
it's a hard thing to do sometimes because we don't know God's will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if we trust in him and we trust in God's will, we trust that he's got the right plan for us, he's guiding us in the right direction, then we can take him by the hand and close our eyes and know that every single road he's going to lead us down is going to be a good one, no matter what.
Yes.
No matter what.
Yes. Or just rest on those wings of love.
That's right. That's right.
Hiding his presence in the secret place.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
man,
definitely.
God is good.
Oh, all the time. All the time. So
Amen.
now, so that we can make sure that we got people going to your social media, finding you and everything that you've done, go ahead and do me a favor and let them know where they could reach you at on social media.
Okay, so I am on Facebook. My music page is Music by Samona, Samona. I am also on Instagram, Samona W Music. And obviously I am on Spotify and iTunes and all of the digital platforms under Samona, Samona. And on YouTube under the channel page Encouraged to Inspire.
Amen. Which is the title of your EP, and I want to encourage everyone to go out there right now, stream it, but buy it. You know, if you can as well. You know, make sure you support independent artists, but make sure you support Samona right now because she's got some good songs under her belt. And do you have anything new that's going to be coming up either before the end of the year, maybe next year?
I'm just looking for the right music. So if anybody out there, if you do music, leave a comment, do something.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But I definitely want to do another project at least by next year.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, I definitely, for one, can't wait to hear. And, if you need anything else from me, myself on my end, please let me know. Feel free. And I'll definitely keep you both in prayer and all that for anything else that's set to come.
Awesome. Thank you. Likewise.